Come to get it. And now when they close, you know, come to that's the station through the years that we down there right here. Nobody said nothing. We know each other's lingo. It's out I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of games. You too. I don't think I will. It don't look good to me.
Welcome, everybody. This is a fiscal court meeting tonight, and I hope that you'll bear with us while we have our meeting, and then at the end of the citizens' address, anybody can speak if they want. I'd ask you please refrain from talking or speaking during this time frame, and then you can definitely come up and speak. The only change we're doing tonight is we're going to go to executive session right before the citizen address. It won't last long, but we got to get that done. Is Terry Leap in the crowd? Oh, there he. I didn't see him. Come on up, Terry. He's the pastor of William South Baptist Church. He's going to say our invocation tonight, and then I'll say the Pledge of Allegiance right after he does that. And thanks, Terry, for coming. Okay. Why stand, please.
Father, it is in the name of your Son, Jesus, that we come before you tonight, imploring you, Lord, asking you to be present here in our community, in this meeting of citizens tonight. Father, we need your wisdom. We certainly need your guidance. We need your direction as citizens of this community who want to live together in peace and harmony, remembering the words of Jesus of Nazareth, who taught us the first and greatest commandment was to love you with all of our heart, soul, and mind. But what follows on that is that we love our neighbor as ourselves. So, Father, as we gather here tonight as a community of neighbors, friends, family members, Lord, I pray that you will be present to give peace, guidance, and wisdom. We love you, we honor you, and we pray this in the name of Christ the Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Terry, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
whenever they prefer to do.
Okay. Magistrates, we've got several minutes from 17th and 19th, the 30th and 9th, and I was wondering maybe we could all just do one vote on all four of them. If you have a problem with that, we'll vote on them individually. It's whatever y'all want to do, but
You know, I noticed that I did not include February the 6th in there. That needs to be included as well. And I think you have the minutes in front of you. I just did fail to put that on the agenda.
We got February the 6th.
you got it? Okay.
Judge, having read the minutes and submitted corrections to Ms. Conrad, I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented for January 17th, 19th, and 30th of January, as well as February 6th and 9th. However, one point of clarity, on January 17th, I wish to show present but not voting as I was out of town.
Okay, sorry about that. But
Was that
thanks
the
for-
January 17th,
Correct.
Jacqueline?
Correct.
Okay, you second, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do have one correction that I will give to Pat, to strike a line that was just really it was really non-essential. So I go along with the second motion.
Okay.
I'll give that to her.
Okay. Peggy, call the roll, please.
So Magistrate Codon seconded.
No.
No, Mr. Newman,
Bobby did.
Jacqueline Riley,
Yes.
Shawna Codon,
yes.
Bobby Newman,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Okay, we have some delegations here. I haven't seen them yet, but are they here?
Yes, they're here.
Where are they? Where is, I see, Jerry Keith and Bob Yeager and Kevin Rust. Is here from the road department? You by yourself? That's fine. You can do it. Thanks for coming. I was looking and I didn't even see you over there.
My father always told me to look presentable, and we'll leave it at that. I don't know, maybe that was the problem. But,
Thank you very much, sir.
No, Judge, magistrates, members of the court, and all present, my name is Jerry Keith, and I'm the section engineer for the Highway Department, the Transportation Cabinet, located in Williamstown, Kentucky. And here tonight to present to you, as we do every year, our rural secondary resurfacing program. Now, we did this last year. I believe the court is familiar with this program. I'll give a brief description, and then before we conclude, I'm happy to answer any questions or clarify anything I may have missed along the way. But the rural secondary program is a pot of money that the Highway Department cuts out for rural secondary routes. Now, those aren't the primary ones like the US 25s or the 36s, 22s, 467s. These are more of the feeder roadways throughout the county. And they give us a pot of money to resurface with, and then sort of, with this program, it's different than most others, but there's a flex fund amount in here, and that's money that's able to be utilized by the county if you should choose to resurface roadways within the county that you need. And we'll get to that, and that's the good news. You know, they talked in years past about eliminating the flex funds or decreasing them, and the good news I have for you tonight is they're basically the same as they were last year, if not maybe just slightly more. The same percentage anyway of the pot of money. But we'll just get started. I believe everybody has a copy. I submitted this to Pat, I believe, a few weeks ago, and if you don't, I've got copies with me. But this year's allotment totaled $881,265. From that allotment, they take out $352,100 for maintenance and traffic. And I'll be honest with you, I have no idea where that money goes. But Kevin and Bob told me if I didn't know the answers to most of your questions, just make something up. But I didn't make that up. I really don't know where that goes. But anyway, that comes out of the pot. And then we have a free balance or undistributed amount from last year. Now, that was money that came in less than what we planned to spend. It was a residual amount of $188,193. That gets added back into the pot. We have county judge expenses that come out of the total allotment of $3,862, leaving us, well, before I say that, also the flex funds of $132,190 come out of the pot. That's what the county is being allotted this year, if you should choose to use those, $132,190. So the net total, after all the pluses and minuses, leaves the cabinet $581,306 to resurface our roadways within the county. And you can see below there, I'll just go through these quickly. We plan to resurface Crittenden and Mount Zion Road. Now, last year we resurfaced the majority of that, but we did miss a little piece from US 25 up to the school. And we plan this year to come back and pick that up just to complete that roadway. From there, we go to Heacon Road. We're doing roughly a 2-mile length, spending $184,860. Then we're moving to Heacon-Lawrenceville Road for a distance of almost 4 miles, a little more than 3.5 miles, spending $247,156. And then we plan to come back to Lebanon Road, or Kentucky 491, starting from the Boone County end down at the Bullock Pen Spillway, more or less, and start coming back toward town for a distance of a mile or so. And that pretty much exhausts our funds.
Yes, sir.
And again, these routes, as I say every year, these are based on need within the county that we have a need for. They're not really geographically located in any strategical location, but we ride these roads all year long, and when it comes to this time of the year, we really look at where we need to focus on improving. And these were the ones in the most need for us. So anyway, after Lebanon Road, about a mile or so, we've exhausted our funds. And then we show a little alternate at the bottom that if, for instance, the county does not choose to keep the flex funds, that goes back into the pot. And then we would simply exhaust that money, bringing 491 on in toward town.
Okay. Okay.
So that's really our plan for this year.
Okay. Well, thank you for the money.
Well,
we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And as you know, if the court decides to take the flex funds, when you act on that, I'll just need a copy of that official action. I can send them out.
How soon do you need that, Jerry?
Yep, absolutely.
Right away, about next week or so?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So if there are any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them, or anything going on in the county that you're curious about from the cabinet perspective.
So if we choose to use a flex fund, we got what, to the next meeting to vote on it, or?
We do, well,
As soon as possible, I'll say. The folks in Frankfurt get real antsy. They want that action. They want to know what's happening, even though I tell them they can't really act on it until we get the official order from the court saying, yes, we're taking those.
we have taken in the past, and I would like to recommend to the, and I think I don't know if you want to vote on tonight or not. We're not allowed to vote on it.
I would.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if we can vote on it tonight, I would like to. If not, then we could add
Let's do it.
March 6th.
Okay.
Okay,
do it.
we have to have a motion.
I make a motion, we retain the flex funds of $132,190 to go back into the maintenance of the county road system.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, back call the roll.
Jerry, don't we also need a motion to accept your recommendations of the roads to pave?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I've read those minutes in the past, but I can't remember if you take action on those. I wouldn't think so.
No.
I would think we only need you to act on
No.
receiving the
I don't
funds.
think we have
I
had.
believe we have in the past. We've always made a motion to accept their recommendation and to keep the flex funds
And that
for
would be
county
fine.
use.
Is that how you want the motion read?
Want me to rephrase the motion?
Restate,
Yes, please.
I'll rephrase the motion to accept the recommended projects for the rural secondary program and for the county to retain the $132,190 flex funds for the county road system.
Thank you, that's what I needed.
Okay, second. Now, let's call the roll.
Magistrate Riley?
Yes.
Magistrate Coldon?
Yes.
Magistrate Newman?
Yes.
Judge Wood?
Yes, motion carries. We need to send you a letter though, right, on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll do it.
Of that
Okay.
official approval. And
Jerry, I have a couple questions too
Sure.
before you're finished.
Okay.
You're gonna give money away, why don't you take the 25 and then the town keep the road? It's a bad shape, I very break the big. You ought to get out and ride that road.
I ride it every day, and
Wherever the state people work on it, anybody can fix that road.
yes, sir.
Anybody.
Yeah, this program does not allow us to do anything with US 25. Now, I can tell you, this year,
Fix Heaton Road, that's a state road.
Well, but they classify them differently, and based on the classification is how we're able to repair them with what pot of money. Now, this pot of money does not allow us to do that.
I almost buy you a ton of blacktop to fix the road.
Well, I'm not going to debate over that, but I can tell you we're going to pave, and we've spent probably $250,000 fixing some slides on US 25 from Kiefer toward 36.
Didn't you cut across the road and break your truck into it?
Well, that will be addressed when we resurface this year, and 25 will be paved
The rest of the way.
the rest of the way from
That
Kiefer.
was actually going to be my question, although be it that's not a secondary road, that is a main stretch that has a lot of issues. So I was just curious. I know that you were only presenting on the secondary roads, but
That's right.
I know that I've called Mr. Linder multiple times, every time you call, because it continuously hasn't been addressed. But you're aware of it, and so I was told that this upcoming year, the rest of 25, within basically Corinth and Williamstown would be addressed.
That's correct.
Okay.
And we're always struggling. We're at the mercy of Frankfurt for dollars and our district, and when money comes up, we're fighting with 10 other counties up here to get our roads
Understood.
paved and repaired, so.
And then the last question I had, this would be for Judge and Ms. Pat, and I don't know if you're aware of this. One second. I had a question in regards to last year's monies as far as one of the reimbursements. I believe it was for Dry Ridge Mount Zion Road. Has that been resubmitted to the state?
Yes, and what they did, they ended up rolling it into this year's funds. So we're going to be getting that money this year because it was not expended. It was not reimbursed for us.
Are you aware of this? And I've only know hearsay about this, but I wanted to follow up because I thought it directly pertains to this bucket of monies, correct?
No, I don't believe that was in that bucket of money.
Okay.
Right, I can tell you,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I do. I mean, once we give you the opportunity to take the flex funds, and you do, from my perspective, I really
That's
don't
it.
see much else. But
That's
now
what it was.
they do send me copies of what the judge proposes for paving within the county each year to kind of assess. And I remember Dry Ridge Mountain Zion was on there. There were a few others. I can't remember the routes exactly, but there were 3 or 4.
Well, there was a payment, to your point now, it was flex funds, and it was dropped off, hand-delivered, but then no one ever found it in Frankfurt, and then they said that it could be resubmitted. So I just didn't know, would it be collected next fiscal year?
We get it now.
Now,
Yes.
okay, so that has been followed up on
Yeah,
then?
yes, it has.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
I mean, it's not my district, but I know it's monies and it's roads, but,
Right, that's all controlled by Frankfurt, and I really don't get involved with that, but, can get answers if you ever have any questions about those things.
Yeah.
okay, so we're squared away then on that.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you,
All right.
Jerry. Appreciate it very,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to fiscal matters, and we'll present for review and a motion to approve the claims drawn on the general fund, road fund, and jail fund, along with transfers dated February 20th, 2017, as presented.
Say what?
Pat, on the claims on the, general fund, we have one for Mr. Lilly. Is that for some repair work on a car?
I'm sorry, who was that for?
Mr. Lilly, Larry Lilly?
Yes, the police, the sheriff's office had an accident with a cruiser, and that was to repair that cruiser.
We're going to be turning it into the insurance on that for reimbursement?
We already have, we've already got our money.
Okay.
That's a big one.
will we be approving also the interfund transfers from general fund to jail fund with this motion?
Yes. Except I believe the one for 75, we may not have to make that one if we get the check from the state.
That one right there.
Any other questions, magistrates?
Okay. I make a motion to approve claims as presented against the general fund, road fund, and jail fund, along with the requested transfers dated February 20th, 2017.
I second.
Okay, Shauna seconded. Okay, call the rolls, Pat. Call the roll.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Coldarn,
Yes.
Magistrate Newman,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes. Now, I just present for the record that County Attorney Joe Taylor has requested that he not receive the CPI increase that certain county elected officials receive each year. The next one I'll let Pat read. It's a motion.
Did anyone connect with him? Did he not want to receive it? Pat or Steve, did either of you speak with Mr. McDaniel in regards to this? Because I have not.
No, we did not.
So I don't want to speak on behalf of him. I know us three magistrates are in favor of not receiving the CPI annual increase that comes, but
Well, unless I'm dreaming, I believed I asked you all to check with him what his desire was, but is he in the audience by any chance?
I doubt it.
No, he's not out there.
Okay. What you can,
Because it's all or
Peggy-
nothing, all three,
Peggy,
all four
I'm
of
sorry.
us.
Can't they make the motion for the three magistrates not to accept it, and then make a decision on Mr. McDaniel later?
They need to vote on his.
I mean, we can vote, we can make a motion to accept ours and then.
That's correct, and exclude Mr. McDaniel and let him let me know.
And okay,
And
yes,
follow up on him.
yes.
I make a motion that Magistrate Riley, Colon, and Newman will not receive the CPI increase for this coming year.
And I will second.
Okay. Patty, call the roll.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Coldarn,
Yes,
Magistrate Newman,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, present for a motion to void check 14053 drawn on the jail fund in the amount of $2,435.80 and made payable to Robert Morgan. This check was made payable to the wrong vendor. It was realized before the check was mailed. A new check will be issued to the correct vendor.
As requested by the county treasurer, I make a motion to void check number 14053 that was drawn on the jail fund in the amount of $2,435.80 that was made payable to Mr. Robert Morgan.
I second.
Call the roll, Pat.
Yeah, hang on. Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Coldarn,
Yes,
Magistrate Newman,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes. I've had a lot of phone calls in the last week, needless to say, and I've tried to return all the phone calls. I've listened to everything you've said. Some people don't leave their phone number, so I apologize, I can't call you back. Tonight, I'm going to be presenting the first reading of the ordinance to impose a 2% occupational license fee in business not a business license need to be collected in Grant County. Not a business license, just an occupational license. This will mirror the tax of 1.25 collected by the city of Dry Ridge since 2000, which was increased in 2014. At the last meeting, I presented the facts that led me to this decision, and that reading, the magistrates and others will have an opportunity to present information before the final vote is taken. However, I have made line-by-line recommendations on my part for about 365, and the magistrates have made about another, we kind of cross over, but about another 200,000-300,000. So there'd be approximately anywhere from 550 to 700,000 reductions, cutting every department funded through the general fund. I believe the primary roles of government, maintaining our roads and providing public safety, are critical, and that this measure is absolutely necessary to maintain the basic levels of service, which are, in my view, less than standards our people deserve. I would reiterate to the crowd, this is just the first reading, there's no vote. There will be a meeting set within 2 weeks for a public hearing and vote of the fiscal court. That meeting will be advertised, and we will take public comments at that time. That being said, I'm going to ask that Pat reads that reading, please.
Ordinance number 01-2017-704 is an ordinance of the Grant County Fiscal Court relating to the imposition and administration of an occupational license requirement and payment of an occupational license tax by persons engaged in occupations and professions within Grant County, Kentucky. The ordinance in whole is on file in the judge's office. Anyone is welcome to come in and get a copy of that ordinance. I don't think you all want me reading 8 or 10 pages to you tonight. So that ordinance will be available upon request. And you can email me, you can call me, or you can come in the office, and I'll be glad to give you a copy of it.
Okay, thank you. Present for review and approve a contract with Millennium Business Systems to lease new copiers for various departments. This is an amended contract reducing the amount of the copiers to be leased from 9 machines to 7 machines and to increase the length of time on the lease to 60 months. Okay, that doesn't have to be voted, right? Okay, present for review the reports of the animal control officer, the road department supervisor, and the building inspection for the month of January. No action is required.
I do need, Judge, a vote on that Millennium Business contract lease.
Pat, real quick, what did that, going down to the 7 machines, what did it reduce the monthly payment to? Do you know for sure?
You should have that information in your packet, Shauna.
Okay, I found it.
Okay. So she's telling me we do need to vote on, I apologize.
Yeah. It was a savings of $119.43 a month.
Yes, if we go with the 60-month lease, you could save $317.43 a month over what we're paying currently.
I make a motion, we'll amend the contract, reducing the amount of copiers leased from 9 to 7, and to increase the length of the time on the lease to 60 months, for a savings of $119.43 a month.
It's 317.
Okay, 317, okay.
I second.
Okay, Pat, call the roll, please.
Magistrate Riley?
Yes.
Magistrate Coldon?
Yes.
Magistrate Newman?
Yes.
Judge Wood?
Yes. And as you well know, you've got your reports from the animal control officer, the road department supervisor, and building inspector for the month of January. Now, at this time, we'll try not to be long, I promise, because I know y'all want to talk. We do have to go to executive session just for a few minutes. I don't think it'll last long. So I had to have a motion to go in executive session. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. Call the roll, Pat. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Joe's right. We need to tell you the general nature is discussion proposed or pending litigation and discuss personnel. And, okay, call
I'm
the roll.
going to note for the records that the court went into executive session at 7:30 PM.
We haven't voted yet.
Okay. Magistrate Riley?
Yes.
Magistrate Coldine?
Yes.
Magistrate Newman?
Yes.
Judge Wood?
Yes, we'll try to get right back to you, okay?
Which I think they said it'd be about $1 million something. Yeah, our, right, just our county. Yeah.
Hey guys, Scott Conrad here. Just to update you, they're in an executive session, the fiscal court is. As soon as they come out, we'll get back to the live stream as far as the meeting. I don't know how long it's going to last, so just stick with me. If you like the video, click the thumbs up and share it on Facebook and let your friends know. We'll be right back with you as soon as they get done.
Yeah, get two educators here. That's what I say, you're right, yeah. I tell my boy, there's a dog down there, you learn here, you learn something every day, Absolutely. Yes, sir. You're not beyond learning.
Newman.
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes. Okay, we're ready for citizens address. And come up to the mic if you don't mind. If you don't mind, state your name and just go at it. Now you got 3 minutes. Let's try to stay in there, okay? Hey, Kim.
Judge Woods and magistrates, do you all want to discuss your first reading of the ordinance tonight, or you want to do that at another night in a special?
Well, we'll have the special meeting for discuss the
So you
ordinance.
prefer to do that at another night then, you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, because I had some questions that I would like to ask or get addressed, but if you prefer those on another night, then I understand. So what you want to do?
I would like to hear them now.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. First question I have here for you in section 1, under paragraph 3, and this is some concerns that I have just as a business person, for you, Judge, and magistrates. Under the conclusion of the federal audit, means the date that the adjustments made by the Internal Revenue Service, the net income as reported on the business entity's federal income tax, to become final and unappealable. Are you, in this ordinance, are you all asking for a net profit tax under the business, or is this just a definition?
Where are you at? I'm sorry.
I think it's just a definition.
Okay, so
We're not asking for a net profit.
okay, so your record will show that basically in your first ordinance here, for this payroll tax, there will be no net profit tax on any business in Grant County. Is that my understanding?
That's what I'm saying, Joe.
That's right, yes.
Okay, it is, yes. The answer is yeah.
Okay. Well, when I seen that definition in here, and I just wanted to clarify that, if that makes sense there. Also, and I think this is the same question that it would fall under on page 3 under paragraph 11, for the levy of a net profit on the business. So there again, that since there's not going to be a net profit tax on businesses, we won't have the businesses won't have to worry about that as well. Under section 2 that you have here, should you executing a questionnaire for the occupational tax, have you all, is there going to be actually a tax on the permit on the occupational tax, or is it too early to determine what that's going to be? Have you all figured that out yet?
I've actually asked the same thing, because
Okay.
as you read the current ordinance as it is in front of you, sir, right now it indicates that in order to have your business on file, you just complete an application. And as you are probably aware, other ordinances indicate, such as this nature, charge a certain fee of some sort.
Correct.
Whether it's $25 or $50 or a few $100s. And I've actually served that up to Mr. Taylor and to Julie, because in my opinion, that is an area that could be, for right now, it's free, it costs nothing, you're just to file an application, but many entities leverage such an application to help offset the administrative cost of administering the program. And so I've asked that same question, because when I read that, that means it costs you $0 and you're just to put an application on file.
Well, and you're right. I would like to see some clarification.
Yep,
and the
me
reason
too.
I'm asking these questions tonight, so when you have your second reading, where you all have had time to review and put together and perfect what you want to have in your second ordinance, because as this reads now, it may be 25, or I'd hate to think it could be 300, or whatever
Correct.
you all could
Correct.
determine.
Correct.
So that's.
I agree.
And these are just things that, if you can put on the table for thought, that's what I'm looking for, Judge Woods and magistrates.
My understanding of that is that the tax is on the individual employee.
Right.
When we're talking about complete and execute the questionnaire, that's just a form that's going to be needed to be filled out by the employer so that we can track the information.
Well, that I understand,
Right.
but when you're talking about putting down an occupational tax or a permit to have that, that's what I'm just looking for clarification with
On
that.
the employee. At least at this point, it's on the employee.
Well, or the employer, if the employer has this, and for, like Jacqueline pointed out, for administrative cost or whatever that would be. And then Section 3, for consideration for the court, under paragraph A, I've seen you have a maximum annual license tax for each employee would be $50,000. If the court would reconsider that number if you've took an average of all of the employees in Grant County and averaged that, it probably would be considerably less. If that ceiling amount could be reduced to maybe $32,000 to $35,000 a year, that's just a thought that I would like for the court to consider instead of the $50,000 one. And also, in the way I read this as well, the exception would be for employees that work maybe part-time, or you have some employees that are going to college or whatnot, that it says here that this probably wouldn't kick in until they make in excess of $5,000. If that number could be raised to $8,000 to $10,000, if that's a consideration that the court would look at and review, because you have a lot of folks that say are working part-time jobs, or if you have students that are going to school to make additional money, I know you all wouldn't want to make a hardship for anybody trying to make extra money, and I understand that, but it's just these are things I would like to see considered in your ordinance, is what I think.
Me and Joe, we talked an hour the other night on this Section 3 about the $50,000, and Joe told me that he would research it. Joe, what did you come up with?
Most of the adjoining counties don't have any limit at all. And this is not that you're cutting, that you're not taxing them after they make $50,000. This is saying that the most that they would pay would be $50,000.
Right, they would pay
Right.
it.
Most of the counties adjoining or in this area don't have any maximum. They just say this is the amount of your fee. I think it's either Campbell.
Not to disrespect you and disagree, but your northern counties do have a maximum amount.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Kenton and Boone have the maximum, and theirs is about $52,000.
That's what I was going to say, but we do have some that do have a maximum on it, and it's more around the maximum amount that gets taxed, from my understanding, is about $50,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
As this currently is written, it's saying that the most that they would pay would be $50,000, so quite a bit of difference.
Well, yes, there is quite a bit of difference, but as I would like, in respect to the court, I would like to point out, if they could reduce that,
Well,
it'd be
We'll
good.
look at it.
I think there needs to be some clarity on our part from Joe and Julie doing this,
Yeah.
because I was under the assumption, like you, this 50,000 was a cap. Once you reached 50,000, you would no longer be charged the tax.
That's my understanding.
And that's not
that's not how
that is not
reads.
what I had, that this was being. So if,
Joe, could you explain that a little better?
That's easy enough to change if that's what you want to do between now and the next time, that if you have a cap of the amount of income that you want as opposed to the amount of tax being paid that you want.
Can y'all hear Joe back there? Joe?
Pull my mic up here.
Yeah, get close to it.
I said that's something that can definitely be changed between the first reading and the second reading if what you want to do is make that a maximum amount that would be taxed as opposed to a maximum amount that would be paid.
And the way that it states now is that's the maximum amount paid. And I think you're probably reading it as.
When you read it on the surface, it
I read it
shows
as
of the
cap.
gross revenue that you
Yes,
would
the
be
gross-
per
yeah.
employee.
That's right.
That's the
And
clarification that you
Yeah,
can
that's
look
what-
at.
Look,
And I think anybody can twist anything around.
But if it's that way, that is too high.
Well, that's true,
Yeah.
but I appreciate the fact if you all consider and you understand what we're, or at
Yes.
least what I would be looking at.
Yes.
And then my understanding too, I'm sure that you, of course, there's a lot of folks in Grant County that work outside Grant County. They would not bear this
Right.
payroll tax at all, even
No.
though they don't work
No.
outside the county.
No.
So, but with those things that I'd looked at, I just wanted to express those to the court, and I would appreciate you all in your consideration and looking at that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your.
Thank you very
Thank you for
much.
What you do.
Thank you.
We need to strike this.
Well, oh, you're coming up, excuse me. I'm sorry, I thought you were leaving. I saw you heading that way.
I have a few questions, and I'm sorry that I don't have a copy of what he was reading off of. The occupational, the gentleman mentioned an occupational, and he also mentioned payroll. Two totally different things. The payroll, which I'm under the understanding is what's going to be put in place is the payroll tax. Is that correct? Is that
I thought it was both
what you're
calls.
looking at? I'm sorry.
It's still called an occupational tax.
Well,
What we
the
originally had was
occupational,
both.
in most cases, the occupational, which I think is what everybody out here is under the understanding, the occupational is based off the businesses, meaning that they're going to pay a certain percentage off of the gross or the net of the business. I don't think they're under the understanding that the occupational, that's what they're thinking, okay? So the payroll tax that you're talking about putting in place is for payroll only, meaning that
That is
the
true.
employees is going to be taxed. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the businesses themselves are not out anything, so therefore it's no occupational
I
tax to the
guess if you-
business.
You're 100% right.
Okay,
Yes.
all right,
And-
I wanted to make that,
Yes.
And
I want to
think
make sure.
we go back to the license to get the, I think referring back to section,
Two.
yeah, to
Section
section 2, when you apply for the occupational license.
To get the business license to do the withholding for that, yes.
To do the
Right,
withholding.
yes.
There, as Jacqueline pointed out, there is levels that you can charge a fee to
Yes.
do that, and that's not uncommon to do those things hand in
Correct.
hand. It's not
Correct, and I
stated
didn't know if that's where you was talking about, or if you was actually talking about the gross or net profit of the business. And I think that's where
And
Yes, I
everybody
think
else,
it
for a
was-
point of clarity, that was in the first draft a few weeks ago.
Okay.
That's since been nixed.
Okay, all right. As far as, he mentioned the 50,000. Of course, that pretty well caps, if you do the 50,000 based on the 2%, it's capped anyway. But, at the tax amount, it's going to be capped anyway. But you don't know which way you're going to go with that. You're talking 50,000 as far as like the salary amount and then 2% off of that, or you're talking 50,000 in tax?
The way that, correct, the way that the current ordinance reads, the draft in front of us is you would pay, the max tax you would pay is 50,000. Not if you make over
not making
50,000, you get only
Okay.
taxed at 50,000 at 2%.
Okay, and also, and that's for the people who work only, or is that work and live?
Just
That's another
work.
thing, just work only?
Yeah, it has.
Work only.
Yeah, occupational payroll, they have to work in
in the county.
Grant County.
Okay, if you've got a company, and I'm throwing these things out
That's
to
fine.
you because I do payroll for multiple counties, multiple companies. So I'm fully aware of all of these
Yeah.
things that's out there. I'm making you guys aware that there are going to be instances, because I have them also other places, there's going to be instances where these people, the company themselves is in Grant County. Those people may not work in Grant County. Are they going to be exempt from that?
They would
Yeah,
have
if they don't
It'd
work
have
in
to
Grant
be.
County,
have to
will
be.
be sure.
It'd have to
Okay,
be.
not
If-
working in Grant County.
If by chance, and this is another thing that's thrown out there, and like Boone County and Florence, have this in place, is it going to be because I'm getting tons of phone calls, is why I'm asking these questions. Is it going to be in place that, say for instance, that the, one of the companies that is in Grant County, that employee the tax is withheld, and it should not have been? Is there going to be a refund put in place for that employee?
I do believe there's somewhere
I think it's
within
in here.
Is it in there? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, I apologize, I have not
No.
read that. I'm going
That's
to.
okay.
Do not
contact Pat for a copy.
apologize. You speak. Yes, Section 8 indicates language around refunds. Refunds, credits within 2 years from the date of overpayment.
Okay,
was
so it
made.
is going to be, okay, all right.
Another clarity I will make, since we're talking about it, it is my understanding that the Ark Encounter, being a TIF district, will not be subject to the Grant County payroll.
Because they have the TIF.
They have the
In place.
TIF, and the TIF in itself has their own mechanism there.
Okay.
Has that been confirmed, Joe? Because that was something that was
No,
on
it's
the.
not been confirmed yet.
Okay. Good clarity point.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Keith Kimman Steele. I'm going to be real diplomatic and try not to be confrontational tonight. I don't mean to do that. Put my hands behind my back.
Thanks, Keith. I
I've
appreciate
had
it.
about 3 people that's asked about this, so I want to bring it to your all's attention. Is this going to pertain to like 1099s? If a farmer sells a bunch of cattle and say $50,000 worth of cattle and he gets a 1099 where he sold them, but he has no expenses, will he be taxed on that revenue?
No.
I don't believe so. The
Well,
court,
the
Joe.
Section 6, it looks like it might be. I'm not sure. I think we need clarity on it more than anything.
That's not one of the examples that we looked at. I think the example Julie used on that is if you have a plumber who you hire to do some work for you, and he doesn't file as an S corp or whatever. If he doesn't do that, then he would pay it. If he did file as an S corp or some type of business where he could deduct the expenses, then he would not pay it.
Yeah, because we have contractors that come in and do work for us occasionally, maybe on rental.
That would be me, sir.
Would you mind coming up?
She was
I'm just asking for clarity because what he was asking regarding the 1099, I have been reviewing the actual document as it's written. In section 6, strictly talks about 1099 employees. So that's why I'm asking. We're saying no, but as it's written, it's showing otherwise.
When I asked the clarity, because I have fielded this question quite a bit reading off of this ordinance, and Julie had indicated to us that as a business owner, you own the business, you cease to be an employee, and therefore you are the owner of the business and you file a Schedule C. In spirit of transparency, she indicated that this is, is not perceived, but is a loophole, which is why, she recommended an employee and a business, the employee pay and a business have the occupational license. Because if you file a Schedule C, you do not have a 1099, of which you do not pay the 2%. Because I'm with you. I had that very same question that I emailed, and I think she had indicated again that as a business owner, you cease to be an employee, therefore you do not pay the 2% occupational tax, and that you probably file a Schedule C with your taxes, of which she indicated, and I've hand wrote this down because this is a big something to be aware of, as far as a loophole, which she recommended that back to the business licenses that we implement some type of fee there, not just on the employee, but on the employer, the business owner, even if you're a one-man shop.
Okay.
What you're saying, Jackman, if you're a one-man shop, for example, you would just buy an occupational business license, very similar to what you're already.
Correct. Or, as this ordinance states right now, it is no fee whatsoever. You just complete an application. And because you file a Schedule C, and you do not obtain a 1099, then you're not required to do the 2%. Joe, am I reading this off right? Because I'm just going off of my questions to Julie as I read this ordinance myself.
And we just got the answer the question this afternoon, so we really haven't had a chance to research it in depth.
Okay. So duly noted that this is a big area that needs just official confirmation and clarity.
By the way, Julie's sick tonight. That's the reason she's not here. I apologize.
The reason I ask is because 1099s, and not only specifically for myself, but that covers a large array from farmers to lawyers and doctors. I mean, that's a large rainbow of people.
Several, any contractor to that subcontractor, absolutely. I mean, I agree, that's why.
So if it's a loophole, I mean, how are we putting up a system that we're going to pick and choose what 1099 does and doesn't pay?
Okay, anybody else?
Steve, I will tell you, I've got a friend that has a business, very legitimate, been in Grant County for many years. There needs to be something in place to track outside people coming in, because I know in his case, he does some work, for example, in Owen County. And he'll keep a ledger on how much work he does and how many hours he spends there, and then he sends in his tax based off of that. But somebody's got to track that, because we have a lot of companies that come into Grant County. I do work for Gusher and do a lot of work for Dana, for example. I compete with outside companies in northern Kentucky that come in and do work at some of these places, and maybe don't pay any tax whatsoever in Dry Ridge, which I'm paying now. All my people are paying.
Keith, you're absolutely right.
be
If we impose a tax, Pendleton County has it, and we're going to send over, and they have a way of tracking that and so forth. And we got a program, a computer program that's supposed to be the best there is for this type of tax, if we do it, okay? I want to apologize, y'all. I know the meeting lasted a longer night. We sure didn't mean to make it last that long. The executive session. What, can you stand up?
Sure. I've got a small landscaping business. 95% or more of my revenue is generated in Boone and Kenton County. Therefore, my employees go to Boone and Kenton County, and that's where they generate their income essentially, but they're employed by me. My business is based here in Grant County. Are they only going to be taxed on the work that they do in Grant County?
I say yes. I say yes.
Okay. All right.
Good question.
Which in return, when they're working in Boone and Kenton, are you paying?
They have to pay up there.
And that's right.
Yes. It's all right.
I mean, that's a good question.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for being so, I really appreciate Mr. Kimman. I really do. Oh, here comes another one. John. Oh, John.
John Souter, Dry Ridge. Good evening, everybody. There's a lot of things I'd like to talk about, but it's late. But I still got a burr under my saddle about the sunset clause. It was brought up by numerous people initially, and we thought it was going to be in, and then we found out that, Judge, you decided...
Well, I'll talk to the magistrates, but I thought that would be a good deal. We're going to review this next April, and if we can drop this, whatever we approve, we're going to drop it. I know people say we won't, but we will. We're committed to it. We're taxpayers too.
Put the sunset clause in it then.
Because the next
That's why
court...
I'm here. Let's hear it.
The next court will be bound by it. I'd rather the next court do that. We've only got a year and a half to go. Like when I took over, a lot of things the former judge didn't do because he wanted the new judge to do what he wanted to do. He didn't bound me. So that's that. Now, if you all want to talk about sunset, we'll talk about it again, but
I wanted on the record, and I certainly believe that we're remiss by not having that in there.
Okay.
I believe that with all my heart.
Okay.
I try to look at it all the way through from every angle I can possibly come up with, And I'm not so egotistical that I don't ask other people that are hopefully a lot more intelligent than I. And nearly every one says the same thing I'm here about tonight.
Okay.
It's just, I just can't fathom that we shouldn't have it in there. I can't, this doesn't work for me, and most of the people I've...
Well, I'll call other counties to see if they do it. I don't think they do, but...
Frankly, Judge, I don't care about the other counties.
I know we're not, sir. I know we're not.
We've got to take care of our problems, and
Well, I
then
mean-
we can discuss other counties. I feel for them and whatever their situation is, but right now, the buck stops here. We can debate about what other counties do or what California or whatever, but let's keep on focus with Grant County right now, please. I'll quit for now.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Can you please stand up? I'd really rather you come up. Can you come up? I'm sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you or anything, but it's just so people can hear you, you know?
He's coming.
No, go on, come up.
I'm a simple guy, and I'm just talking about numbers. So if someone makes $50,000 a year, this court is imposing a $1,000 tax on them. That's a Christmas, that's probably 2 or 3 car payments, that's a lot of, so there's a $1,000 tax for $50,000 a year. That's what you're saying?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. Come on down, Dave.
Thing is that there's somebody that's got to be able to run this.
A $50,000 cap, right? That's the amount, the most tax that somebody would have to pay is $50,000 or 2% of their income. That's on $2.5 million, that's $50,000 max. That's what you're saying, right?
That's what's in here.
Well, that's what's in here. We're trying to get clarity on it because
This
That's what I'm
this
getting
came from
from Joe.
KCO, this agreement. It's their standard tax on this, and that's what they thought, you know.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how many people in the county make $2.5 million that they're going to get taxed to the max of $50,000.
Yeah.
That's a deep one. The other question I have, what is the definition of payroll? For somebody to be taxed under this, what is the definition?
Well,
Where I come from originally, Missouri, Kansas City, it was called an earnings tax. Whatever you earned, you were taxed at 1%. So it's got a lot of different names depending on where you live, so are we calling it a payroll tax?
Actually, the best I could find real quick is number 2 would be compensation,
Compensation tax.
meaning wages, salaries, commission, or any form.
Remuneration, yeah.
Okay.
It's in the, have you got a copy of this?
No.
Can
You need
we
a copy.
post this on the county's website?
It's just a tax on earned wages.
And what is the definition of earned wages? You know, if I'm a business owner, I have to draw an income out of my business. I put part of the money back into it. If I employ people, then I pay them either salary or an hourly wage. But I also take wages myself. So do I get taxed at 2% because I own the company, but I have to feed my family? So I draw income from that? Or is this strictly on somebody that goes in and punches a time clock?
If it's a payroll tax, then it's gonna be if you receive wages, like a W-2.
Yeah.
So if you don't receive actual wages off of the company, if it's just income off of your company itself, there's no payroll tax. The payroll tax, correct me if I'm wrong, the payroll tax is if you receive a paycheck, a W-2.
Thank you.
So if, say I have a landscaping business in Grant County, and I do landscaping all over, Boone County, Kenton County, I have my employees My company's here. It's called Grant County Landscaping, and I send people over to Boone County to shovel or do whatever, but yet I pay them right here. And even though they do work in Boone County, they're drawing an hourly wage, so that
They don't
money,
have to pay, they don't have to pay here.
That's just like the Boone County. You have to keep hours for the Boone County hours that they work.
Yes.
So that's gonna be just like here. So when they're working in Boone County, you keep those Boone County hours, you pay those Boone County taxes.
And we don't get
If they're
any.
working in Grant County, then you keep those at Grant County hours, you pay those Grant County taxes.
who's going to do the auditing to make sure there's compliance on this?
That's what he was mentioning. Somebody's gonna have to put this in place.
Amen. Who's going to do it?
We're hiring a person. Hey, people, please quiet. Thank you.
This is the first meeting I've attended, been out of town quite. Les Smith, Gusher Pump. We've employed people here since '75. We moved here because we thought this was a good place for not only company, but employee. As time has gone on, it's the county and the city have taken more and more money from our employees. I happen to be one of those employees. When I look at what we have to do to compete in the world, not just county, not just Ohio, not just Kentucky, the world, we have to be competitive. We have to look at every cost. I would hope when you start taking people, like we said, that's a car payment, that's a Christmas, that's something that all our employees have to look at and say, oh, I don't get that this year. Then you start looking at your employer, and the employer says, hey, look, I can't give you any more money because I have to compete. I have to compete with the Chinese, I have to compete with the Germans, I have to compete with all. I would hope and pray you guys have looked at that 2%. I'd like to know how you come up with the 2%.
Let me ask you a question, sir. Have you raised your prices on your pumps?
Have I raised? No.
Not
In
at all.
many cases, I have lowered them to be competitive.
Well,
I have found ways.
So you never raised the price of your pumps out there?
We have not raised our prices in 5 years.
What about before that?
Well, as our...
Well, the reason I'm saying is because we have raised our taxes in 1989, and I'm not saying we have to do it for that reason.
My question is, when and if I have to raise prices, I look at every alternative to find out what I can do.
That's what every businessman should do.
And where did the 2% come from? Did somebody just... I haven't been contacted. You don't know what my employees make. How do you estimate that 2% is going to cover everything? That's what I'm asking.
That's what we're asking.
Okay. Wouldn't it make sense, if you have to have, I don't know why you have to have this money, but,
Well, we don't have any money, sir.
No.
We don't have any money. We're going to have
Whose fault is that?
That is a fault
the
of
buck
many years.
stops with me when I run out of money.
Well, I
I
understand
can't pay
that.
my employees. I can't give the employees any bonus money at the end of the year or any of that. The buck stops with me. I have to go to them and say, I'm sorry. This is the reason. You guys haven't done that. You haven't sit down and said, where does this 2%? You just dreamed that up. How many, hey, Kim, did anybody ask what your employees make? Nobody's asked me.
I don't think it's our business, sir.
Whoa!
Nobody came to ask me why I'm
Then where did the 2% come from?
It came from DOLG. There has been some discussions about so on and so forth that came from DOLG, which is the Department of Local Government, which does our budgeting and everything, and they monitor us very closely.
So they've looked at your payroll, they've looked at all this and said, oh, these guys need 2%?
I talked to the main guy over there, and I think he looked at our numbers, yeah.
Again, I don't want to be confrontational, but, and I appreciate, I know you all met with them, I've talked to the magistrates, and I think at times they've talked to them, and I know a lot of times we get different answers when we talk to them. That's the nature of big government in Frankfurt and everywhere else I heard. And that's unfair for all of you all. But, you know, we've had some issues about this tax because I'm going to call out again, I think it was last meeting, when the meeting started with your speech, you indicated that if the state took us over, it might be 4, 5, or 6%.
Yeah.
By the end of the meeting, you asked Peggy what they had told you, and they said 2%.
No.
So we went from a bluff of 4% to 2%.
I mean, if they come in.
I know that.
Okay.
And they indicated to me that was outrageous, that would not happen. But the 2% that was with no cuts. They indicate with 1%, they would be drastic cuts first and then the 1%. And I think that's what Les is referring to. When we have a crisis at Kim and Steel, Greg don't call my employees, he calls me, as he said. You know, it runs downhill, and he's going to call me and want to know where the money's at. So it's on my back. But we have to make cuts sometime. And I don't like doing it, but occasionally we have to let some people go temporarily. Hopefully we generate more revenue. I don't hire guys and then try to generate business. I generate business, work overtime, and then hire guys.
And Keith, you're right, but government's a little different. I hate to tell you that. We don't get any monies off from Frankfurt. None.
I agree 100%. It's different up to a point, but I think sometimes in this type of community, we probably ought to look at it as if we're reaching in our own pocket and pulling some money out, and we might get a little tighter with that money. And I think every one of us would do that. I mean,
Keith, I ran a business too. I know exactly what you're saying.
Easy,
and I used to be a good customer of yours too.
And I appreciate it.
I appreciate your business too.
That's kind of what Les is leading to, I think. That's what he said.
I think I would strongly look at this 2%, unless somebody can point out that, hey, I've checked all the W-2s in the county, and I know this is the debt I got, so this is what I need. I don't think anybody's done that because nobody knows the W-2s. Why is it then you can't start out with maybe 1%, be reasonable, and then oh, whoa, okay.
1% will not do it,
work.
sir. I will tell you straight up. 1% will not do it. And what should have been done, to be frank with you, is about 8 or 10 years ago, there should have been 0.5% or 1% so they could get a revenue coming in all these years. We wouldn't be having this meeting tonight. We would not be having this meeting tonight, sir. Honest.
We'd have started out, we'd been up to 6% then.
Excuse me?
I mean, we never give anything back. All I'm saying is, we're talking about now. We're talking about what it would, and how you know that the 2% is going to cover it when 1% maybe would do it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anybody else?
Buck Walter, Powell Chevrolet. I've looked at the budget, and as I mentioned when I was here the first time, the state's data center, you guys do get data from the state. I guess you do trust some of that data. The state's data center projects the growth to be negative in Grant County through 2040. I want to understand how we made a budget in June a year ago that was to be balanced, and now we decide we need roughly a 30% increase in revenue. I'm having a tough time getting my arms around that. And for those of you that believe that this doesn't affect employers, like everybody say, oh, the employee's going to pay for it. Yes and no. A lot of you, I had an employee brag to me when the city payroll tax passed that he was going to pay the tax. And he was the very first person to come to me and ask for a raise. I know Dana's situation because I was involved in that. And they were involved in a contract negotiation. I have been a Teamster. And I do know how those negotiations go. And they wound up picking up that tax. My concern is the damage that you may do to the business community and the well-being of the community. I understand you've come to the conclusion, and you guys are pretty much dead set on it, that you're going to have 2% increase, and I think it's a bigger deal. I keep hearing about what the tax is in Florence, and what the tax is in Erlanger, and what the tax is in Georgetown. I love my county, but guys, we don't live in Boone, Kenton, or Scott County. We live in Grant County. Many of us have made our life here. Everything my wife and I own is in Grant County, Kentucky.
Me too.
That's not true, Steve. You don't own properties outside of Grant County.
Oh, I do own some. I think you do
Thank
too,
you.
don't you? Don't you too?
So I'm trying to find out how the very same judge and the very same magistrates that made a budget in June of last year can come up this short and say, now we got to have a 30% increase in revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, how much truck's gone up there, buddy? Let's see how much was a truck in 1987 and how much was a truck last year. I've been in your place to buy trucks and stuff. It's gone up quite a bit.
If you bought a truck from me, you would know.
I have bought trucks and stuff from you. I have. Bobby Snow sold me two.
On behalf of Buck, and me and Buck fight all the time, we have trouble getting along. But on behalf of Buck, whether his trucks went up or not, we have a choice if I want to buy it. You're wanting to give me something I don't have a choice in.
You
know, and if you don't make enough money here, you can get a job somewhere else, but you're gonna pay payroll taxes there.
I've got enough money, I'll pay whatever I need to pay.
Oh, yes, you will.
That's why I'll do it. I had a lady the other day, and you and I go way back, but I walked in McDonald's and got a cup of coffee, and unfortunately, I'm kind of my big mouth, the little lady waiting on me, which an elderly lady says to me, "Are you the Mr. Kim I keep reading about in the paper?" And I about half embarrassed and said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, thank you, because we can't afford that tax."
Yeah.
And that's the people that hurt. It's not going to hurt me. I can afford to pay it. I'm not crying for myself. I'll pay it. But we have about 25% of the people that's going to pay the tax, and about 75% that won't pay it is going to use the facilities that it's going to take care of. I've got a guy that's going to have to pay that lives in Georgetown that gets off the Dry Ridge, drives the state road to Ruthman Drive, and drives the city road. He's already paying 1.25%. When he goes home at night, if he needs fire protection, it's in Georgetown or Scott County. If he needs sheriff's department, it's Georgetown or Scott County. He's not utilizing anything we got, but we're taxing all the wrong people. I mean,
Well, he's paying
you can't
gas to
just
get
be
over there.
us.
Why don't he work in Georgetown?
I don't understand that thought process. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but based on your philosophy, ma'am, you're proposing that everyone just stop working in Grant County. I mean, come on.
Would y'all want the county to go broke?
I want services. I don't want to give up
Everyone keeps saying we'll try.
Excuse me?
Everyone keeps
Wait a
saying
minute, guys. We
we'll
have a man at the
Wait a
microphone.
minute. Hey.
Dry Ridge
I'm
has a payroll tax. Everyone keeps.
We got a guy talk at the mic. Please sit down. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude to you, but we got a guy at the mic. It's his turn.
Do any of y'all have a calculator up there to clarify the $5,000 to $50,000 range?
Say what?
You're talking about on the clarification that you need for the $5,000 to $50,000 range. That's for a salary.
No.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you have to make like 2.5 million, the way that reads now.
Yeah, so
that
we
you would be
understand
taxed.
that is
Yes.
for a salary. Because under what you've already stated earlier, that would be the max that you would be taxed.
No, that's.
Yes, that's what you all said, just like Mr. Rose got up here and said that you would have to make 2.5 million.
Correct.
Okay, get your calculator out. In order to be 5,000 range, you would have to make $250,000 a year. Do the math. We're here. Do you understand where he's coming from?
I see there's an interpretation of two ways.
It's no interpretation, because there probably is not 10 people in the county that make $250,000 a year. So you got to understand, that's a salary. That's a salary range. That's not a max tax.
Travis, I'm just reading off of how it's read right now in Section 3. Agree or not agree, I'm just reading for what it says.
Well, I'm here to tell you, the lady that writes the checks can probably stand up and say, there probably isn't a dozen people in this county that make $250,000.
I say.
So your tax range would only be about 10 people. That's the first thing I want to say. Exactly right. So the next thing is that false document that you produced the last time we was here, where there's 3,887 people that work in the county. Have you spent hours and counted the businesses? Steve Wood said that was not right to do for somebody to come and ask how many employers they have, but that's what you're.
The ad, I got those figures in the ad, sir, and that's taken from data from the state.
Well,
it's correct.
No, it's not.
Okay, well,
It's
you can talk
600
the
short.
ad. Huh?
It's 600 short.
Oh, 600, okay, sorry.
Well, 3,900 people, if you take 600 short, I mean, that's a pretty good chunk. I don't know. You're talking 20%, right?
I don't know, but I just know that I got that from the ad, and the ad is very, very accurate. I would tell you that right now,
Well,
sir.
the $5,000 to $50,000 range is for salary,
First time we had to.
not for max tax.
We're depending on our lawyers and stuff.
Do you understand?
I didn't hear what you had said, I'm sorry.
The $5,000 to $50,000 range that is in that ordinance is not a max tax. That is the salary range that somebody would be making. It's either a yes or a no, and it's got to be a yes.
Joe?
And I just need somebody to say
Joe.
yes
Let
or
me
no.
Let me read this verbatim.
Read A, yes, out loud.
All wages and compensation paid or payable for work done or services performed or rendered in the county by every employee, semicolon, provided, however, that the maximum annual license tax for each employee shall be $50,000, and each employee shall be entitled to an annual exemption of $5,000 of such wages and compensation before the application of the license tax. It may well be that the number should be $50,000 in income. Currently, the document doesn't say that. If they wanted to say income instead of tax, we can do that. It currently says tax.
Well, I'd say just keep it just like you got it, because you're going to have about 3,860 less people paying into what you're wanting.
It's a decision for the fiscal court to make.
I'm glad they can't understand what they're reading.
Of such wages and compensation. I don't think people need to get personal either.
My statement before is we continue to go back to this, kick the can of, well, Dry Ridge has a payroll tax and Dry Ridge has a payroll tax, but look at all the things Dry Ridge has done for their citizens since implementing a payroll tax. One of which, based on documents and conversations, shows that county employees that have had this payroll tax withheld from them, the city hasn't actually been compensated from the county. So you're wanting.
Why would the county?
If the county employee is working in Dry Ridge and has to pay the city tax based on the way that you were showing us in the tree,
Okay.
and the county hasn't paid the city, who is their payroll holders, how are we expected to assume that everyone is going to be under the same accountability?
I think you all were, Pete Whaley was working on that, and he's supposed to get back with us on that. Joe, can you make a comment on that?
Just that they were, I don't remember what the date was they were going to meet on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they were supposed to meet on and get back to us. I would say we have to pay it.
They don't have to do that because they work out in the county. Yeah.
I just got something to say real quick. I don't want to be confrontational or anything like Mr. Kimman back there. I'm not saying he's confrontational, but, I'm not a rich man.
I know.
Why do I have to pay for the mistakes and the reckless spending of the court of magistrates?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't want you to pay anything, but
It sure sounds like you do.
No, I don't even like taxes. No, I don't.
Really?
I'm not a tax guy, I'm a fiscal conservative guy. But I have to look at what we got in monies and what we got to spend, what we got to do in the county, and we just don't have it. And we don't have two sets of books, and I have to pay the taxes too. I'm putting a tax on myself. Now, I can afford it, I'll admit, but.
I bet you make a whole lot more money than most of the people in this room too, don't you?
Well, I went to college and worked hard. I used to make about $8 an hour. I'm 67 years old.
I
put my time in.
Understand why us, the working people, have to pay for stuff that we had no control over.
Well, look, I really sympathize with you, but. Well, you're paying taxes now. Where do you work?
I work at Dana, right here.
Well, you're paying taxes now to the Dry Ridge City.
I'm already paying the Dry Ridge tax. What
I know.
is that?
That's what he's complaining about, 2-1%.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't know where they complained when they did the 1.5% on it. I don't know where you did then, and maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. But we're putting the tax on the same reason they did. We're cash short. We need it. And I don't mean to hurt you in any way.
Rick Skinner, City of Williamstown. Joe, this is for you. I'm thinking that, explain to me what the next step is. Did I hear public hearing?
Yeah.
Is that next? Is the magistrates, are you set at the 2% that's there now?
No.
Well, what, Joe, I want to ask you then is what I understand is first reading, it was 2%. If the magistrates decide to go to a different rate.
They can vote up or down on it, Rick. You know that.
No,
You're the
no,
mayor.
no.
It can be amended.
It can be amended before the
But then you would have to go back to a first reading.
No.
That's the way we operate.
Well, you're city, we're county.
And that's the difference? See,
The rules are different, really.
I really did not know. Okay, I just didn't want it to go backwards, that it's going to take 2 more weeks or something if.
No, there's a procedure where that any changes have to be laid out in writing and they have to be specified when you publish on it.
But it's a substantial change, and that's why I thought, you would have to go back to a first reading.
No, it doesn't require you to go back to this first reading, but it does require publishing, and you have to be very specific so that everybody understands what it is, the change that you made.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Rick.
I do have one question.
Would you stand up?
What's going in the paper, what's going in the paper and what the tax is going to be?
Right now, it's at 2%.
All right, then why would you put it in the paper at 2% and advertise for 2 weeks? To me, that's a waste of money.
Well, we're required to.
Because if they're going to 1%, you should have advertised at 1%, which would probably make the people a whole lot happier to see 1% than it would 2%, anytime. But if you're throwing 2% out there, that's telling them, hey, they're stuck on 2%. The magistrates say no. You say 2, they say no. So where are we going?
I only heard one person say that. Maybe they all three did, but I didn't hear all three say that.
I seen 2 right there say it. They didn't want 2%.
Nothing is off the table.
Right now.
That's right, nothing's off the table.
What I'm saying is, if you're putting it in the paper at 2%, then the people of Grant County that's not here tonight thinking you're going to get 2%. And that's not right. That's not telling the truth.
No, we're not.
It will not say 2% in the paper. The notice that goes in the paper will only say this is a notice of a second reading, and it will give the date of that second reading. There can be changes made to that document between the first and the second reading.
So it don't state in the paper.
Yeah, it
Like-
No, sir, it does
Well, I
not
was wrong,
say,
okay, I apologize.
it does not
You
publish.
told me 2%.
Well, yeah, I did, but I meant in the paper. You're talking about the paper?
Right.
Well, no, I just found out that we don't put that in the paper. My bad.
What the paper printed last week was wrong. It was stated that the magistrates went along with the judge on a 2%. That was wrong.
Is that wrong? Here's the man sitting right
Well, he printed it, but it's wrong. We're not, just because,
Yeah, because that's the way I read it.
Just because
And when
that
I talked to
mentioned-
your company,
well-
you all- you said no, you wouldn't go along with it. And I haven't heard any of you three say anything against it tonight, at all. Now would be the time to speak up, I would think. I heard Jacqueline say against it.
Right, and I want to see,
The speaker say, no, I'm not for it.
and in addition to that, the internal changes, the reduction of spending that needs to take place immediately and in future budgets, which is why I do not support a 2%. I will state this, though, on respect of everyone here, we do have to implement some type of occupational tax, but I have not been sold on payroll tax, occupational tax. Where did that lady go? There she is. But 2%, I feel like that is too much in fairness of the city of Dry Ridge that has the bulk of our employment base in Dry Ridge that's already paying a 1.25. So I am a realist from that standpoint that I recognize it needs to be less. But in order to do that, I need traction and confirmation on what internal budget reductions that will take place, and we have not gotten that.
Ms. Kodar, how do you feel about it, the 2%? Which way do you feel?
Hey, Ms. Cole, you say which one. You don't have to answer these questions.
I'm asking a question.
Yeah, but
You're not answering for her, I'm asking
what I'm
for her.
saying to you is that she can make her own mind of what she wants to do. Maybe she doesn't want to do that.
If she don't want to, she'll say.
What's your name, sir? I don't even know your name.
Ron Ashcraft.
Ron Ashcraft, okay.
And I voted for her, I'll be telling you.
I'm looking at it as what it takes to make the county solvent is what I'm looking at. I don't want excessive, and I don't want us being back here again this time next year.
Right.
If we underdo it. But if the people would rather us do 1% and come back again, that could be a chance too. I'm not convinced either way at this point. I would just like to see for sure what the shortfall is, and what it is we need to borrow.
We're on our fourth meeting, we don't know what the shortfall is yet. We keep hearing different figures here.
Wait a minute, I didn't tell any figures. Jacqueline had some figures, I had some figures, and we're going to put them together, and we'll make the cuts.
Ron,
I made a statement earlier about that.
To provide that clarity, the only confirmation that I've gotten as a magistrate is what the operating expenses will be from July through November, which is why we're here to begin with, because there will not be as much pass-through, as much carryover from this budget year to next budget year, which we need that because the property taxes will not be realized from the sheriff until starting in November, December, Jan, Feb, March. And that amount is roughly around $2.4 million, which includes your jail bond payment, which is a little less than $500,000. And, I've sent, new copies, updated copies to the very best of my ability. I've been trying to facilitate what reduction of spending can we agree upon so that we have a better grounding and so that I, as a magistrate, know what percentage I support. And as Ms. Coldarn indicated, you don't want to ask too much, but you don't want to ask too little because we'll be right back here, potentially again, because as I look at history from 2014 and present, we have borrowed, to the tune of $400,000 to $700,000 a year, which is also why we have to create a different type of revenue stream and look at the types of reductions that we could implement. So consolidation of programs, eliminating programs, not staffing positions, of which we have already realized some of these positions that we have not backfilled, and we are requesting to do more of that, and quite frankly, it's been over a month, and nothing more has been done on it. And that's why I just can't support a 2%, because I feel like if we support a 2% right now, not a daggone thing will be done on this sheet.
Right. Because you all come up with over $500,000 on the last meeting that could be cut out of the budget.
Right.
All right. You're going to keep you're still wanting your 2%, plus you're going to cut your $500,000, so that gives you extra money again.
It doesn't give you money, sir. It's
Money you don't have to pay out.
We have to have cash coming in to
Money you
pay the
don't
bills.
pay out.
Cutting helps a lot, but it does not bring in cash.
All right, Bobby, how do you feel about it? You're the only one I haven't asked yet.
Well, I think these two ladies answered it for me, but bottom line is, without pointing fingers, I've been lied to so much.
We have too.
I've been lied to so much that every time I go put a pencil to it, or these ladies puts the pencil to it, it changes. I'm not kidding you. We have got, just like I told you guys, we have got no choice but to put a tax.
Some kind of tax.
We got to do that. Now, before I went on vacation, I went to Frankfurt.
You came back to a mess.
I come back to a mess, but I went to Frankfurt and they said a 2% tax. That's what Frankfurt told me. You got to have a 2% tax to get on a level playing field, catch up with where we need to be, and be stationary. Now, when I come back to the hornet's nest, I got some numbers. What a 1%, 2%, 3% would bring. I brought it to your guys' meeting. I told you guys. 2 days later, it changed. I didn't change it. It changed. So, to answer your question, I don't want to put no tax on, but we ain't got a choice. We've got to move forward. We can't move backwards. Nobody in this audience likes it. I don't like it. But I've been lied to. They've been lied to. And we're going to come up. It might not be a 2, but I'll tell you what, without misleading you, it'll be close to a 2. It ain't going to be a 1. A 1 is not going to get us over the hump. That's a fact.
According to what Keith Kimmon, they told him 1, 2 is way out of the ballpark.
Keith Kimmon went to Frankfurt. Keith, you still here? He went to Frankfurt. Well, let me talk here. Keith Kimmon went to Frankfurt the other day, and he got in to talk to Mr. Brown through the assistant of ex-judge Darrell Link. Hey!
No, wait. I got through Junior Wright, and I've got his number right here if you want to call him. Darrell took me to their office because I didn't know where in the hell I was at.
But I'm just saying.
Junior Wright got me in.
But that's fine. But anyway.
Here it comes.
What makes
Anyway, when he went down to Frankfurt, they had the meeting, okay? And Mr. Brown did tell, I ain't gonna lie, I never have lied to you.
No, sir, you have not.
Mr. Kimmon told him a 1% and a bunch of cuts. I asked Mr. Brown Friday what cuts he want us to make that he told Mr. Kimmon about. He would not tell me. He said, that's for you guys to figure out. That's a fact.
You're exactly right.
But what I'm trying to tell you is, I come back, and then these numbers changed again. Now, we're putting numbers to this.
The numbers continuously change.
Well, that's up to us. That's up to us three to decide, not Steve Woods. Right? And these two girls right here will agree with me. It's going to be closed. Right or wrong?
I agree. I think it will be close.
I think it will be close to that, but I think it also, comes down to, from a personnel standpoint, how deep do we agree to go, and where that's currently at, in trying to facilitate that. The judge has that, and he is to facilitate that as the owner of the budget and is to present to us magistrates as far as the budget is concerned, of which we are then able to vote on. Because I've been trying to get clarity on that, like how in the world can we get to any reductions?
Does anybody in this room not agree with me that probably the jail, I ain't saying Chris, but the jail put us here?
You know what?
far as on the jail. But I'll tell you one thing that I will not agree with. And when y'all elected to vote that jail, to close that jail, did any of y'all do your homework when y'all?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
sir.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
ask you a question. If you did, looking back on it, would you make that choice again?
Yes, we were told what happened. Let me just give you one thing. We called the other counties to see what they were paying per diem. We used that figure. Then when the Jailer Association got a hold of all the counties around us and sort of to raise it, I called one county that one of the counties paying 32, he gave me a price of 65. That did us in. But there was also other political things going on that y'all know about.
And to answer your question, Mr. Miller, if I had a chance to vote tonight to shut the jail down, I'd do it again. And I'll tell you why. I didn't know this when I got elected, but the state government controls that jail, the fiscal. Is there any goals set right?
Does anybody have any idea of what the total count of employees total? I'm talking in Grant County, I'm not talking about the fiscal court, I'm talking about total employees of Grant County. Anybody looked at that, have any idea?
Yeah, I've got that.
What is that?
Department of Local Government out of Frankfurt office, they come up with a percentage that they gave to Judge Woods, and that's the percentage we're working off of.
The 2% is based on what the total number of employees is in the county? Is that what you're saying?
From what I gather, they do a calculation based on the unemployment.
I think it was unemployment, no, it's a formula you use.
It's a formula that's used.
How many is in the county employed? Do you know that number?
I got that on that sheet, I don't have it off the top of my head.
92 total people working in Grant County, 5892.
Okay, the reason I'm asking, if you did, or I don't disagree with you guys as far as there has to be something done. I get it. I totally understand that. I think the 2% is high because Grant County is a poor county and the employees that's in this county, I mean, they're lucky to make $30,000 a year. Nobody in this county is going to make the $50,000 cutoff. I think it needs to be a matter of, I mean, obviously if you do the 2%, there has to be a max, not $50,000. And if you do a max of, something reasonable for and multiply that times the number of employees that works in the county, I guarantee you're going to get your money that is needed to make the budget. And I don't think that's, if I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong, but I don't think that's been looked at. But the 2% at the $50,000, no way. I mean, the employees cannot do that. The employees of Grant County cannot do that. I totally understand what their gripe and complaining is.
Well, how
but,
do
and as
let
far
me ask
as,
you a question, I don't mean to interrupt. How do other counties do it? Because they
I'm
got the
sorry?
same type of people we do. Pendleton County's got it.
There's a lot that's
all
got.
These, I know y'all get tired of me saying that, but other counties have done it. They got people who make the same amount of money as my buddy back there, and they pay it.
You are correct. There's different ranges. There's different ranges. And there's either a max as far as, for instance, I think it's Carroll County. They don't even start withholding until you make $5,000. And then there's no max as far as the unlimited.
That's what this says.
I'm sorry?
That's what this says.
Okay, well then that would help a whole lot as far as that, and I did not know that part. But as far as, and a lot don't even have a max. Like Carroll County does not have a max. So 50,000, which of course that'll never be made. But then there are other counties that has a max, meaning that they'll start it as soon as the payroll starts for the year, but then they max out at a certain amount. Boone County, one of Boone Counties, they have 3. One of Boone Counties is a $25 max. Not much at all. But and it varies just depending on the county. But as far as, I just think that, again, I think it's too much for the 2% and really no max. Because the majority of the people that work around here, if they make $30,000, they're lucky.
You're saying 30 is what you would?
She's just
Do
saying
the max.
I'm talking $30,000
is the average.
as an average salary. And if you do a 2%, what is that?
It's $577 a year.
Okay, $577 a year, and you're talking how many employees did you say?
There's 5892, and if you take 5892.
That's $3,399,000.
Well, the court said they were going to get $3.4 million. based on 2%. So
Right.
if you take 5892 into 3.4 million, it's $577
So if
a
you
person a year.
If you did 500, okay, even if you did more than that, even if you did $1,000 max, and you said 500, give me that number again, I'm sorry, 500 and what?
$577 a year. What other number did you want?
5892.
5892 is a number of working people in
Well, and if you do
county.
that, if you do that $1,000 per person, you're talking about 0.8. So I mean,
tax is only on the people that live and work in Grant County.
No.
Just work.
There's 1995 that come into the county that's going to get 2%. And then there's 3897 that live in the county that work in the county.
That's right.
So it's 5892. If the average pay was $30,000 a year, then 2% would be $600 that each one of these people would pay.
right, and
That's
that's what I
max.
said, if you did $1,000 max, you're still at 5.8 million.
Exactly.
Which is still more than, right.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you did it instead of, up to the $1,000 as the max withheld tax, and you've got 5,800 employees, there's your 5.8 million.
We don't need that much.
We don't need that.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Instead of maxing it at $50,000 that no one is ever gonna make, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, I'm just looking for, I understand there's gotta be a tax. I do not disagree with you on that.
That's right.
But there has to be a reasonable
Right.
meaning here. I mean,
That's
because
what
I do
we're
not
looking
believe
for.
that
That's what we're
people.
looking for.
That's what we're
Right.
looking for.
Well, and that's why I keep coming up here trying to make suggestions.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes.
You're looking at 3.4 million roughly, rough numbers, off of 2%.
Right.
2%. Are we gonna have to borrow, was it 2.5 million?
No.
No?
What are you
I thought
saying?
that's the number we had, that we was gonna have to turn around and borrow 2.5 million to get.
Well,
That's what it says.
okay, I'll try to explain this. KCO will not loan us any money if we don't have some kind of revenues coming in.
I understand that.
But we will have to borrow just to keep us going and then pay that back right
And
away.
how much? 2.5 million, am I correct? Is that the number?
We'll see, we'll start getting money in June.
That's what was told originally.
Pull that out of the air. I mean, what we looked at is what I gave Jackson wasn't for a loan, that was what we had paid out.
Right.
Last fiscal year, during the months of, the date that she contacted me, through November, she wanted to know what we had paid out in payroll and bills. I went back on the previous year, looked at the numbers, took out any one-time pays that we had paid, and the jail would need 2.2 million to operate.
Just the jail. 2.2.
So my point being, round your number off, if you take in 3.4, and you was gonna borrow the 2.5 to get solid on everything, you got $900,000 in surplus. The following year, if you don't increase that budget, you're gonna have $3.4 million more coming in.
That's when we look at it and cut it back if that happens. We gotta have reserves over
And I
here.
think that's what people have trouble swallowing.
Oh,
is
I
that
know.
Second year, because we're looking at roughly a 31% increase in budget.
I understand.
And we're talking about 5% in cuts, which is pretty drastic, the difference.
That gentleman I talked to in Frankfurt said that 1% was a level playing field, that's what Grant County needed. But since we're in the hole, he said, Bobby, 2% for 1 year, cut it back to 1 and leave it at 1 across the board.
I think that's the thing.
That's probably what we'll
That's
do.
what we need to look at.
Yes.
We got a speaker now, y'all.
Jim Wells, City of Dry Ridge. I came up here to answer a couple questions that were addressed towards the City of Dry Ridge, but I do want to thank the court. I appreciate the court going through the exercise of looking at your budget and finding some cuts. I don't think most people here in this audience are opposed to shoring up a revenue stream for a dwindling reserve to to keep up with services. I don't think that's what they're opposed to. I think what people want to know is how much you really need, and that's kind of what we're discussing. Number one, how much you really need, and how you plan to use it. All right? I think that's what most people want to know here. I mean, there's a lot of numbers that are floating around. Les, are you still here?
No, Les is not here.
Are you talking about the Gusher pump
Yes.
employee?
Oh, okay.
Yep. Oh, that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I
Les.
I wanted to maybe give a little bit of insight. I know your question was about how they came up with the 2%. I've had that very same question myself, and we've had a lot of conversations about this 2%. The number that we keep using or keep throwing out that we use for reference is because the city of Dry Ridge already has a payroll tax of 1.25%, which you mistakenly said 1.5% earlier, but it's 1.25%. That generates for the city right about $820,000. So if you back that out and then multiply that by 2%, that is actually going to generate 1.3 million just from the city limits of Dry Ridge. So I'm still struggling with how we came up with that we needed a number of 3.4 million when we know that our shortfall is somewhere between, depending on which conversation you listen to, 1.6 and 2.5. Okay? So if you're going to automatically generate 2% just from the city of Dry Ridge, then you're automatically taking into account that the rest of the county is going to pay less than $1 million combined. And I don't, just to make your shortfall, okay, of what you really need. So I think a lot of the question is, to Les, the 3.4 million that they're proposing to generate from this, I would like to know, and I think a lot of these folks out here would like to know, of how much you really do need, not just for this shortfall, but going on forward. And then a plan on how you plan on using that. I think that would calm a lot of nerves if people knew that you were intending to use this $1 million or $2 million that you're going to have extra to pay the debt service on the jail to retire that debt. Or if you're going to expand a program or whatever you're going to do. I think that's what people want to know. Now, to answer a couple questions, I forget what your question was. I tried to make a note, but what was your specific question? It was something about Dry Ridge.
Oh, I just want to know why I have to pay another 2% on top of what I already paid for Dry Ridge. And why doesn't the people that live in Williamstown or anywhere else outside of Dry Ridge, how does that work?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and I know that I've talked with the court about this before, and I've proposed that the court look at adding language in there that would give a tax credit for anyone who was already paying the payroll tax in Dry Ridge, so that it would be an earned credit that they would already receive for the 1.25%. Now, I've asked to look into that. Have you completely taken that off the table, or is that something we can still look at? Because basically that would cap all employees at 2%, not add that tax on top of what Dry Ridge was already assessing.
Mayor, you've never asked me that.
If you would return my phone calls, I would.
So I'm unaware of this from you. It's first I heard of it,
Mayor,
but I've jotted it down.
I do return your phone calls. You don't return your phone calls. That was a terrible remark you made.
Let me take this back. Would the court entertain adding language that would give employees already in Dry Ridge an earned tax credit for the 1.25% that they currently pay?
We'd have to put a pencil to it, Jimmy, and check and do,
But is it something that you would entertain?
I'm not going to entertain it because I don't think we'll exempt anybody the first year. I think we'll exempt anybody the first year.
Why not?
Because we'll make sure we got the revenue coming in. Did you exempt anybody your first year?
But it's not your final decision.
Sir, please, don't walk out.
When I came into office, Steve, the city already had a 1.25%.
I know.
Okay, so no, I didn't have the opportunity to exempt anyone. So my question is the court, or will the court entertain that? Because we can do some quick math. Mr. Rose, you got a good calculator. $820,000 divided by 1.25, multiplied by 0.75. 1.25
That's 656,000.
times 0.75.
492,000.
Okay, that's how much you, and now subtract that from 1.3 million.
What the hell is he doing?
You wanted to do the math, we're just doing the quick math on it.
808.
That's how much that you would be crediting for the employees in the city of Dry Ridge that work in the city of Dry Ridge to help them. That would relieve $800,000 off of their backs while the county is trying to get back into into a good physical standing. Is that something, now that you know the numbers, that we could consider?
I think it's too much.
I mean, you're still generating what, 400 and something? 492,000 out of 5 square miles of this county.
That would be hard to entertain, Jimmy.
Absolutely.
Since we're trying to back down off that 2%. See what I'm saying? We're backing off. We're considered in running the numbers, but that would just, that would.
Okay, I'm just trying to offer a remedy of some tax relief, at least to the people in Dry Ridge who are already paying for this, because in previous meetings.
Would you be willing to back off about 0.5% on your tax, sir?
I'm sorry?
Would you be willing to back off about 50?
I would love to if you would start paying for EMS service.
No, I never did do that, sir. That's what Dry Ridge did. Don't put that blame on us.
All right, that's the reason.
EMS
why
put that, Dry
has
Ridge put that in and wanted to run rural metro out of business.
What?
Y'all didn't want rural metro in here.
State your question again. I didn't hear that. Something about rural metro.
Rural metro.
What about them?
You didn't want them in here.
All of this is done way before me.
Oh, well, all this was done way before me, Mayor. All this was done way before me.
Okay, all I'm trying to do is correct the situation. Dry Ridge currently pays 5%, or 5% of the county pays 100% of the bill, okay, for EMS service. I'm trying to right that ship. So yes, and I have stated up here before in front of this court that the city of Dry Ridge would entertain reducing that payroll tax if we got help from the county to offer that service to the entire county. Because currently we provide it to the whole county, not just to the city limits. So, and that's not what I came up here to argue about, but if the county's interested in footing that EMS bill for 95% of the county that doesn't pay for it, then
Why
we
don't
would
they pay
certainly
for it?
be
Don't you send out a
interested
bill?
All right, we can have this at a,
No, really. Why don't you send out a bill?
I'm sorry?
You send out a bill to the people you take out?
Yes, sir.
Do you get any money from it?
We generate about $400,000.
Okay.
And it cost us $1,063,000 last year to provide that service.
I don't doubt that.
That is the reason why we have to generate the $800,000. We've gone into that, we've talked about that numerous times before. But I think what's important here is, I think the fiscal court needs to consider allowing for an earned credit for the folks that are already paying a payroll tax. And they certainly need some reassurance on how much money you actually need, how you plan on spending it, and a sunset clause to see that you do actually reevaluate this or phase this out over time.
Jimmy, thank you, and thank you for taking up your people, your city.
Bobby, I want to add something to that. I'm not much on giving passes, as everybody knows. And I'm not going to give Jimmy a pass. When that payroll tax was put in before, he wasn't in office then.
I know.
Me and Les and several other people, we fought that tooth and nail to keep them from raising it. They were broke. They didn't have no money. They raised it from 1/2 to 1 1/4. And we're spending money now more so than we ever did. And we've got somebody on council now voting for things that's telling me on one side of his mouth, saying we got to cut back spending. The other side is going to vote for a new ambulance that we don't need. So I'm gonna give you guys a pass on that.
Thank you.
You know, I'm gonna call Jimmy out because I like him, he's my friend, but a spade's a spade. And they could roll that back a little bit. We don't have to run out of the city. He don't let the cops go out of city limits. We don't let our cops go out. We don't have to let the foreign EMS go out. You know, but we put that tax in, and we have spent money, and let's tell you, we spent money like it's growing on trees. Now we got it, and that's what the people's afraid might happen here.
Yeah, I
We put
understand.
a tax in,
Good
and
point.
all of a sudden we start spending too much money. We don't cut our budget back or keep it in order, and that's what a fear is that the people have. I think.
I think you're right, Keith.
You know,
I won't disagree with you. Sir, I'm sorry.
Probably not going to make too many friends here with this statement or comment. I brought it up last week. You know, it's a given we need to generate more revenue in the county, all right? That's indisputable. My problem, though, is that you're only going to get it from 5,500 people. 24,000 people live in this county. Now, take children out, you know, I don't expect them to pay a dime. One of the proposals was a surcharge on insurance policies.
Yes,
all right?
it was.
I mentioned earlier tonight, this 2% tax isn't going to affect me, I mean, very minimally, and my employees. So I don't care at this point. Go ahead and do it. On principle, though, alone, I think you should do a combination of the two. Everyone in this county should have some skin in the game. If you live here and you take advantage of these services, everyone should have to pay for it. Furthermore, then you could, instead of instituting 2% income tax, you could maybe do 1% or 1.5%. You know, I've got 6 different insurance policies: vehicles, trailers, business insurance, homeowners insurance. You know, I'm insurance poor. So, you know, I'm cutting my own throat here. I'm going to end up paying a lot more if you were to do what I suggest.
Yeah.
But on principle alone, I just feel that everybody in the county should have some skin in the game. Furthermore, for gentlemen like Mr. Kinman and Gusher Pump and Pyle Chevrolet, when their employees get this new tax on their pay stub every week, like they said, they're going to come to them and say, you know, look, boss, I took a pay cut. I need more money. Maybe the pressure on them won't be so great if it's only 1% as opposed to 2%. Something to think about.
Okay.
And last week when I did mention it, I didn't get a good answer, in my opinion, as far as what's your rationale for just discounting that altogether.
What's my rationale, what?
Why you just totally disregard going that route, putting an insurance charge, surcharge on insurance policies.
Sir,
And you mentioned you don't want to impact the poor and people on fixed incomes, and like I said last week.
Well, the insurance tax doesn't bring that much money in.
And I realize
And
that.
see,
I know
the
that
cities-
won't. I'm not saying do just an insurance surcharge. I'm saying
I
a
know.
combination of the two.
But the cities already have an insurance tax, every city in the county. And for us to put it on insurance, we had to take up 12 or 14%. We got to be above what they charge.
Okay, well then.
So you want to do an
like the
8%
mayor
and
said-
a 12%?
Like the mayor said, then maybe people that live inside incorporated areas, Williamstown, Dry Ridge, Corinth, give them a rebate or a credit. I live out in the county, I don't pay anything. You know, like I said, I'm standing here cutting my own throat basically by suggesting this. As it stands, I'm going to pay virtually nothing on a 2% payroll tax, and my employees aren't going to pay. They're going to pay virtually nothing. I've got one Grant County customer. You know, so you know, go ahead and do it. It's not going to affect me. But on principle alone, like I said, I've got 6 different policies. If you put a 5% tax or surcharge on an insurance policy, my homeowners is about $1,000 a year. That's, you know, $50 right there. That's not counting my autos, my equipment, my business. So just something to think about.
Okay, I appreciate your comments, sir. Really do. Are we done? No, we're not. Keith, okay. Keith, you go again.
Then I'll quit. Good. You know, if you go to 3 1/4, you go 2 and Dry Ridge has got 1 1/4, you look at Gusher Pump, Dana, myself, the
Yeah.
banks, the schools. I mean, in Grant County Foods, a lot of people in there that's not making probably $25,000, $30,000 a year that's getting stuck at that point with 3 1/4. Now, I know you guys are up against it to make the numbers work, so and I don't know what they are because I'm not on the inside. But 3 1/4% for the average working man is going to be real hard. I mean, it's going to be really tough on him. It makes
Thanks,
it
Keith.
extremely hard.
Are we done? Oh, no, we got another one.
You sat there and said the Department of Local Government told you to issue a 2%, correct?
When I first went there, it's what
When
they
you
said.
first came through, okay. So why, when this whole debacle began, why did you try to impose a 3% payroll
I did
tax?
not.
That is bullcrap. Yes, you did. And then
No,
beyond
that got
it went-
out- that
excuse
got
me,
out of rumor
excuse me.
mill, I did
Are you going to
not.
allocate more time for my 3 minutes if you're going to interrupt me?
Well, I just can't,
Okay.
can't let you tell
It
not
went
the
from
truth.
3%, everyone threw a hissy fit, then it goes from 2.5%, everyone threw a hissy fit. And then you tried to institute a 2% payroll tax and a 2% business tax. Everyone threw a hissy fit. And now, excuse me? No, yes, he did. He sat there and said in the meeting where, no, that is not correct. You can go back and check the meetings. These guys record virtually every single meeting, and it's on the tape. So I want to know if they if they told you to do 2%, why did you try to impose a 3% payroll tax?
I did.
Again, and this goes back to, he's not going to point fingers at, I'm sure everyone in this room obviously knew who he was talking about.
We haven't even decided on a tax yet, what we're going to do.
When he was talking about somebody lying to the fiscal court, I'm not going to point names either, but the implication is obviously there. And this is one reason
Sir,
why.
I resent that.
Well, everyone.
Now, come on, let's make it clean, okay?
There's about 1,200 petitions so far that I've collected. Virtually every single one of those people, and then the hundreds of phone calls you will have received. You know what those people resent? They resent your fiscal irresponsibility and then you imposing a 2% payroll tax and expect everybody else to pay. Excuse me, I am not finished.
Me and the magistrates?
Well, there's that too.
Bring it to me anytime.
But the point is, and I understand that that's your sister, I believe, so she's hardly impartial to this.
Well, neither are
but
you.
Again, it goes back to there's this culture of deception, culture of falsehoods, culture of lies that continue, and nobody can believe virtually a word that comes out of your mouth. You do the 3% after you sit there and tell everybody, well, no, they actually told me 2%. Then you lie and you sit there and say that you're going to include a sunset clause. That proved to be false.
I was going to include a sunset clause.
Okay.
No, I said check it, and I did.
Oh, okay. Well, he's on the record, folks. That's all I wanted to say.
That was enough.
Yes, ma'am. Where do you pay payroll taxes? You told me you didn't work in Grant County.
Now, where do you work, sir?
What's that relevant?
Well, because I asked him on that form, he was
Where do
asking
you
me.
work? Where do
I
you
work
pay
at St.
payroll taxes?
Elizabeth.
My group is Kentucky Liberty Solutions. I do not work in the county. That is correct. Excuse me. No, I have been provided by the grace of God to have a certain set of skills that for the last 5 years that I have done. The reason I'm doing this is because I am the youngest child of 7, okay? My mom and dad have worked they have worked for the last 30 years, have been residents of Grant County. They raised their 7 kids here. When you decided to propose a 3% payroll tax, that would have taken out thousands, and you, sir, you have the biggest and complete disregard for your constituents. You have rolled your head numerous times. When Buck Walter was up here speaking, a business leader in the community, you have your phone and you stop and look at your phone. You've done it a couple times. I've been watching you. You have some of the biggest disregard for your constituents that I've ever seen. And that.
Where do you work?
You do.
Where do you work? Do you work?
I am self-employed.
Okay.
And by the way, I have put in, me and my buddy, we have put in our own money, our own time to do this. I do not get paid a single dime.
So what do you have to pay to have that internet thing, Kentucky Liberties? What does that cost?
How is that relevant? How is that relevant?
Because he just said they didn't put a bit of their money in to do it.
No, I said we have put all the money that has been spent to collect and garner up grassroots mobilization against this 2% tax. That has been my money, virtually. Again, you were trying to relegate responsibility off towards your brother and get off a topic that has nothing to do with it. The reason we're here is because you decided to impose a 3% payroll tax.
We're imposing a 2% right now.
I'm done. I made my point. Right, you say that now. You say that now, but the reason we got here is because you wanted to impose the 3% payroll tax. You know it, I know it, as does everybody else, and the magistrates know it.
Okay, I think we're done. Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Is there anyone else that wants to speak?
Anybody else want to speak? I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, call the roll.
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
Shauna?
I did.
I need to call the roll. Jacqueline Riley?
Yes.
Shauna Coldiron?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Judge?
Yes, adjourn.